Okay, so hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in this video we are going to learn about this observer pattern, and which is the most important pattern which is out there in this behavioral design pattern. So by learning this observer pattern, we actually get to know that how this observer pattern is related to the event driven microservices, because whenever you will explore some books, you'll get to know that Kafka and other message queues have the real implementation of this observer pattern inside, but that's not the case, because not all messaging queues are strictly built on this pattern. But the core idea of decoupled communication is really similar in observer pattern and that Kafka or any other messaging queues, and that's why it's a great way to understand how this system works. Okay, so let's read the definition and then we'll move to why it got introduced, okay, what problem it solves, what are the components that are used in order to build this observer pattern. That is very simple, and I'll show you 3 examples by which you can master this observer pattern, and whenever you'll get a question which demands you to implement this observer pattern, that will be easy for you. Okay, so let's start the definition. So okay, let me change the pen. So an observer pattern is a behavioral design pattern where an object called subject maintains a list dependents observer and notifies them automatically of any state changes. Okay, so let me tell you one thing. So here we have something called subject. Here we have something called subject, and there can be multiple observers which will subscribe to this subject. There can be observer 1, observer 2, observer 3. So in the definition I have written, an observer pattern is a behavioral design pattern where an object which is a subject, which is this subject, okay, which is this subject, maintains a list of dependent observers, maintain a list of dependent observers 1, 2 and 3, and notifies them automatically. This subject will notify them automatically whenever there is a state change. I hope the picture of this observer pattern is getting clear. I hope you are clear with this, what observer pattern is trying to say. So think of it as a publisher subscriber model. The subject, which is the publisher of an event, the subject which is the publisher of an event, the observers which is the subscribers. Why these are the subscribers? Soon you'll get to know when we'll start going through the code. Okay, so instead of tightly coupling object, the observer pattern decouples them. The subject doesn't need to know the details of the observer. So this is the main idea of this observer pattern, which is also similar to what Kafka pattern shows, okay, or any messaging queue shows. So let's move to why it got introduced. So to avoid tight coupling between objects, to allow multiple objects to react changes in another object, and to support event driven systems like GUIs, messaging and notifications. Let's see what it is trying to say. So here you can see we have one code example where we have order service, and inside this service or inside this class we have 3 other, you all can say these are the microservices, or for this these are 3 these are 3 different services. Okay, now whenever we are calling this place order, we need to hard code the logic that email service dot send query confirmation, same we are passing the order. Inventory service dot update stock, same we are passing the order. Push service dot send tracking link, same we are passing the order. Now the first point here we say is to avoid tight coupling between objects. So you all can see here in order service, these 3 services are tightly coupled with this observer class or order service class. Okay, so to avoid this, observer pattern got introduced to allow multiple objects to react to changes in another object. Let's say in future there is one more service that came into picture and we have to subscribe that, then we need to change this order service class. That will violate the open close principle. If you haven't watched that solid principle, I have already uploaded in my playlist, so you all can go and watch. It was in very detail that what are all solid principles, because that was the foundation of each and every pattern. Because in every pattern, if you'll see, we are solving some common problems that is related to this solid principles. Okay, so you all can go and watch. Now first point we have covered. Second point is to allow multiple objects to react to changes in another object, to support event driven systems. Okay, so this is how event driven systems are built, to decouple the logic, to decouple the subscriber and publisher. I hope this is clear. So now moving to problem it solves. So code rigidity. Without observer, you would hard code dependencies directly call multiple service, just like here we are doing. We are hard coding the dependencies and we are directly calling the logic. Scalability issues. Adding or removing listeners requires editing the subject class. The same thing which I have explained, that it is violating the open close principle. Duplication. Multiple modules may implement their own notification logic. So let's say there is one service which need notification logic. So multiple services will have their own notification logic. The code duplication will happen. So instead what we are doing, we are actually going to decouple that, or we are going to centralize the logic and every class will utilize that notification logic. So So observer pattern solves this by centralizing notifications and making observers pluggable. So now let's move to the components of observer pattern. Why? Because these are the components that will be required in order to implement observer pattern. So let's starting from the first component, which is nothing but the subject observable, which is the publisher. So the object that holds the state maintains a list of observers, means all the subscribers list will be maintained inside subject, and it provides a method to attach, detach and notify observers. Remember this, whenever we'll start the code, you'll get a clear picture of all these components. So observers defines an interface with an update method. Okay, there will be an update method. Gets notified when the subject state changes. Whenever the subject state changes, we will call and the observer gets notified. This is the concrete subject. Okay, what is this concrete subject? This subject will be an interface, and concrete subject will be a class which will be implementing that interface. So implement the subject interface, stores actual state or data, calls observer whenever the state changes. Okay, now we have the concrete observers. What is the observer? This again is the interface which is having the update method, and this concrete observer is nothing but a class which will implement the observer. So implements the observer interface, defines how it reacts to updates. And finally we have the client, sets up the relationship between the subject and observers, and the main method where you attach observers and triggers the events. Now let's move to the code. First we will be starting from the simple code, then we'll move to a bit complex, then we'll move to a more complex. Okay, so starting from the news agency. So repeat it with me. What are the components that are required in order to implement this observer pattern? The first one is the observer. This is the first one that is required. Now what is the observer? Observer is simply the interface which will having the update method. Let me change the pen. Which will be having the update method. Now the second one is concrete observers. So concrete observer 1, concrete observer 2. These two are the concrete observers that we have, which is implementing the observer interface, and we are actually overriding the update methods. Okay, I hope this is clear. Till now. Let's move forward. Next we'll be having the subject. What I have told, subject interface. Let me take you to the subject interface. So in the subject interface we have this attach, detach and notify observers. Can you see? Add observer, remove observer and notify observers. So this is the subject interface. Like after second code, what we'll do, we will be only having these components. Okay, the first one will be observer, second one will be the concrete observer, third one will be the subject. So these are the four components that will be required in order to implement the observer pattern. Now we have reached till subject interface. So we have these three methods. Now we have the concrete subject, which is nothing but news agency, which is implementing this subject. And what subject will contain? The list of all the observers, and we have the implementation of add observer, we have the implementation of remove observer, and we have the implementation to notify all the subscribers which has subscribed to news agency, and whenever there is a state change, we'll notify all the subscribers. Now let's move to the client code. So in the client code, if you'll see, we have created one news agency. Okay, so email subscriber, which is nothing but observer. So this is observer email. Okay, let me tell you. So this is the observer email subscriber, which is nothing but the concrete observer. So concrete observer 1, concrete observer 2. So observer email is equal to new email subscriber. If you are unsure about what is this syntax, please go and watch that solid principle. I have explained you each and everything are very detailed. So observer email is equal to new email subscriber, observer mobile is equal to new mobile subscriber, and we have added this email and mobile inside the agency. So whenever we will call agency dot add observer, it will have the observer O and observers dot add O, which is nothing but the email subscriber. Observer type, the type of list is observer, so we can store all the classes which will implement the observer. All the classes means email subscriber is a class which is implementing that observer. So that is the reason we'll be able to store that inside this email, and that is the reason we'll be able to store that inside this observer list, because the list type is observer. I hope this is clear. Now similarly we have added mobile too. Now we are calling agency.notify observer breaking news observer pattern explained. As soon as we'll call, what will happen? So before that we have added two subscribers. So now the observer list will be containing two subscribers, which is nothing but the first is mobile, second one is the email. I hope till here it is clear. Now as soon as we'll call notify observer string news, whatever news we have passed, breaking news observer pattern explained. So it will traverse the loop and it will call o.update news. What is update now? Now whenever we call, so let's say the first subscriber in the list is mobile. So mobile will come here and mobile dot update news. So what will called mobile dot update here will reach dot update news. So mobile notification will have breaking news observer pattern explained. Now similarly we'll move to email. So email dot update will call email received. The news is breaking news observer pattern explained. I hope this example is clear. So let's move to next code example. So that is my whole idea of explaining. Okay, I'll explain you 3 examples, and that 3 examples will be the basic building block of how observer pattern is getting implemented, so that you will not face any problem whenever the problem statement comes which requires the knowledge of implementing the observer pattern. So let's start with the second example. Same thing will be returning. So before that, let me write all the components. The first component is the observer. The second component is the concrete observer. The third one is the subject. The fourth one is the, for now I am writing concrete subject, but in next example you'll get a clear idea that how we can eliminate that subject and concrete subject in one as a subject, and the next one is the client. Now let's see. This is the observer which is having this update. This is the concrete observer 1. This is the concrete observer 2. This is the subject interface which will having the add observer, remove observer and notify, which I have shown you in the first example. Now this is the subject which will having the list which will maintain all the subscribers list. This is the implementation of add observer, remove observer and notify observer. And this is one extra method that will act as an abstraction. Okay. So now let's move to the client. So what we are doing, we are creating a subject. We are creating a subject. We are creating concrete observer 1. We are creating concrete observer 2. We are making a concrete observer 3. Why? Because in the stock broking, there is trader 1, Alice. There is trader 2, Bob. And there is one system which is actually subscribe this subject, stock market. Now what we are doing, market.add observer trader 1, market.add observer trader 2, market.add observer analytics. So these 3 are the concrete observers that will continuously watching that, okay, is there any change in the stock price. So as soon as we'll do market.set stock price, as soon as the stock price got set, so what will be called, so market.set stock price, this method will call here. So it will print stock is what, AAPL, stock price is 150.75. now notify observer will be called. So we have trader 1, we have trader 2 analytic system. Now what will be called, so first trader 1 got called, trader 1 dot update stock and price, trader 1 which is nothing but this, okay, this dot update stock price, it will print. Trader 2 dot update, which will again come here and again will call update. So again this will be called. Now again analytics system dot update price. Now analytics system here dot update, okay, which is nothing but called update. So analytics system dot update, which will be calling analytics updated for stock and price. So I hope this is clear how this is working. Again we have updated the stock. Again this will call set stock price. Again this will call, again it will call notify observer. Again will call notify observer. It will loop all the subscribers and it will pass the message. Okay. I hope the second example is also clear. I hope the second example is also clear. Let's move to the third example, which is nothing but the event driven microservices. I'll not go to all the components and every details. I'll just simply straight walk you through the code. This is the observer interface. This is the concrete observer 1. This is the concrete observer 2. This is the concrete observer 3. Okay. This is the subject, which is nothing but the event bus. So this is the subject. We haven't done like subject and concrete subject. In this example, we have make one subject. Okay. And this is the publisher service. Okay. So let's move to the client code. So in this we have the subject. In this we have the concrete observers. And in this subject we are adding subscribe, which is nothing but inventory service, notification service, analytics service. Okay. So whenever we call event bus.subscribe, what it will do, event bus.subscribe, in the subscribe, let me remove some of the points. Okay. So event bus.subscribe, whenever we will do subscribe, it will add what, inventory notification analysis, inventory notification analytics. So it has 3 subscribers, which is nothing but the concrete observers. Now what we'll call order service is equal to new order service. We have passed event bus. What is event bus? Event bus is nothing but a subject which will having the state of all the observers along with the subscribe, unsubscribe and publish, unsubscribe, subscribe. So we have passed inside this order service that event bus. So event bus got initialized with this constructor. We have passed this event bus got called here. Now it got set. So event bus got set here. Now we'll call order service dot place order. Whenever we'll do place order 1 2 3 4 5, order service dot place order will call event bus dot publish. Whenever we'll call event bus dot publish, each and every subscriber got event. What event? That order ID is order 1 2 3 4 5. So first one is the inventory. Inventory will be called. So okay, so if order contains order placed, inventory, like this is the business logic. So if event contains order placed, it will print the inventory service updating stock. Okay, now again notification. How notification service get handled? So if it contains order placed, notification service sending confirmation email. So publish order placed plus order ID. So it contains order placed, so notification service will handle. Analytics, again analytics will handle that system.out.println analytics service received event, and what is the event? That we got string, which is nothing but the order ID. Now again we are doing order service dot place order 67890. As soon as we'll do place order, it will have order placed with order ID. So again we'll come here, publish. Again all three get called, and every subscriber's respective methods, which is nothing but the on event, will call along with this string, and it will handle the business logic. So I hope the third code is also clear. So let's move to some of the points, which is nothing but in microservices, services don't call each other directly, they publish events. Okay, and whoever is interested subscribers. So in microservices, whosoever is the subscribers will subscribe to that microservice and will continuously listen to the events. Okay, and this is how Kafka, RabbitMQ, AWS work. Published ones notify many with loose coupling and scalability. So this is how observer pattern is implemented. So these are the three codes that are there in the observer pattern, that I feel that is enough for you to understand the observer pattern. I hope I was able to explain it better, and I hope I was able to convey what observer pattern is and how it got implemented. So thank you for watching and having patience. So see you in the next video. Thank you so much.